In this video, I want to show you the indicators and the strategy that I use to find long and short position entry points. First, I want to show you the indicators and what do they represent, and after that I will share my strategy. So I will start with this indicator. Every line represents the cumulative value of all limit orders of all pairs from Binance on ask orders and bid orders on different depths. For example, a red line represents all limit bid orders on the depth of 5% of all pairs from Binance, and the same thing with all the other lines. So this is the all limit ask orders on the depth of 1.5%, ask orders on depth of 3%, ask orders on the depth of 5%, and the green line represents the difference between bid orders on the depth of 15% minus ask orders on the depth of 5%. Basically, we can set whatever orders or whatever combination that we want. We can set individual ask orders or bid orders on different depth. We can set the difference between bid and ask orders on different depth, and we can set the difference with different combinations of bid orders and ask orders on different depth. So I use only those because they are more representative. So what I'm looking for is the crossing lines. So basically when one line cross another line, for example when the bid line on depth of 5% goes below the ask line on the depth of 3%, this means that ask order value become more than bid order value, and ask orders are dominating and seller pressure is dominating. And when this happens, historically I found that the market tends to turn around and go in short, going down. So we can see that in many places. For example, here the last short position entry point, the good one. For example, if I will zoom in a little bit, you can see that ask is above the bid line, and this is the good entry point to the short. Here ask line goes above the bid line, it's a good entry point. Here the same thing, it's almost crossed, a good entry point for short. Here crossing the short position, here the crossing lines, short position, etc. And the same thing for long entry points. But we are looking for different line crossing. We're looking for green line crossing the blue line. So when ask on the depth of 3% goes below this difference, it means that ask pressure is very weak and bid pressure is higher, and this usually historically it shows the turning to the long direction, and this crossing is usually the good entry point for the long position. For example, this one is the last good entry point for long position. For example, here those crossings, this is the good entry point for long position. This one also good entry point for long position. This is the good, and this is the good entry point for the long positions. For example, here almost crossed, and this is the good entry point for long position. And here, this is a good entry point for long position. So that's how this indicator works. So usually I look first I look to this indicator, the delta, and delta represents the bid orders divided by ask orders on particular depth. For example, we can set here different depth. In this case, I use 3% depth with the red line, 5% with the green line, and 8% with the blue line. So these three colors, three lines, they represent bid orders divided by ask orders, and the result value is those lines on different depth. And what I'm looking for here is two areas. When those deltas go beyond the 0.95, this is the seller zone, and when the delta is there, I'm starting to look for the short crossing for short position. So we can see that here, all this area is the seller zone. So in this zone, I'm looking for entry point for short position. Here, this is the seller zone, but there was no crossing, so I just keep this area. For example, here, this is the seller zone. We can look for the short position. Here, this is the seller zone. We can look for a short position, and historically, there's a lot of them where we can check for a short position. And the same thing with long position. If those deltas go above 1.3, 1.4, this is the buyer zone, and when the price goes there, I start to look for crossing in this indicator for the long position entries. For example, here I'm looking for a long position crossing. Here I'm looking for a long position crossing. Here I'm looking for a long position crossing, etc. So when the price goes in buyer or seller zone, I start to look for crossing in this indicator, and also as additional condition, I'm looking for the margin indicator, which shows how much USDT is borrowed on the Binance for buying spot coins by users. So what it shows, when this line goes far beyond zero, this means that a lot of USDT is borrowed for buying spot coins, and when this happens, market maker tends to liquidate them. So this is the not indicator when to go in, it shows when to not to go into position. It shows when a lot of USDT is borrowed. This means that market maker with a high probability can liquidate them. So when a lot of USDT is borrowed, this means that it's not a good idea to go long position. This is just an additional condition. So when I found the crossing, when we are in a correct area, buying or seller zone, when we have crossing, after that I am looking for CoinGlass for liquidation heat map, and I am looking for liquidity concentrations, because the market exists for suck all this liquidity, and when we have the crossing and the seller or buying zone, I'm looking for liquidity concentration to set limit orders to enter position there, or just to take the profit from the existing positions. And as an example, we can check the last entry point for short position. Let's say we are here, and let's take a look. This is this place. Let's say we have indicator that shows us that we are in seller zone, and we have crossing for the short position entry, and we are here, and I'm going here in CoinGlass to check the liquidity, and I'm looking here. This is the big concentration of the liquidity, and what I would do, I assume that market maker will take this liquidity, and I assume that price will just cross all this liquidity and will take it. So what I do, I just set the limit order right here, just where the high concentration of the liquidity ends. I set the limit order here, and I put the stop loss order just in the area where it is not very concentrated. For example, right here, which means that if price go here and it triggers our sell order, we are in position, and if this market maker will decide to take this liquidity, it can take it, but my stop loss order will be here. It's not very concentrated, so with a high probability they will not push the price in this area, so my stop loss will not be triggered. But if the price goes here and it will trigger stop loss, this means that they will probably go higher, and that's not what I want. I want to exit this position. So as an option, we can put a few sell orders, one here, one here, and stop loss somewhere here. So this would be, in my opinion, it will be safe way to enter the short position. We just need to make sure that we just set the limit order on the edge of the high concentration, so market maker will take all this liquidity, trigger our order, and go to our direction. And if it's not, if it goes there with a high probability, it will go even more. So we just need to exit the our position. So this is the strategy currently I use for finding the entry points, both short and longs, and this is how I do it. If you want to get notifications about current entry points, you can join my Telegram channel down below. Go ahead and join. I will see you in the next video.